In today's video, we're going to talk about why Elon Musk apparently destroys Jeff Bezos when it comes to the race to space. Better strap up because it's gonna be a hell of a ride. But first, please don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel. Now, let's get into it. NASA is still attempting to fulfill Trump's deadline for landing on the moon in 2024. When and how it happens will almost certainly be decided by two individuals with big pockets and a growing rivalry: Jeff Bezos of Blue Origin and Elon Musk of SpaceX. Bezos would have easily triumphed long ago if all it took to succeed was a large sum of money spent on these projects. Long before Musk, he accumulated his many billions. Musk laid out a clear plan for Blue Origin in 2012 when he was still dealing with the troubled Tesla launch and unable to devote his full attention to SpaceX. Blue Origin's heavy-lift rocket, New Glenn, was supposed to launch in 2020 according to Bezos. That has now been pushed back to the end of 2022. Meanwhile, SpaceX's Falcon 9 rockets have been consistently delivering its Dragon capsules to orbit, making them unrivaled for commuting to the International Space Station and ferrying supplies and passengers. But how did Musk surpass Bezos so blatantly? It's not only about the technology, it's also about the people. The disparities between the two businesses reflect the disparities between the two men who own them. The culture chasm was built in from the start, as evidenced by recent reports about the poisonous and bureaucratically crippled workplace at Blue Origin. Blue Origin followed a standard aerospace business model. SpaceX resembled a Silicon Valley startup led by a charismatic figure. That distinction was highlighted in the summer of 2018 when Blue Origin's CEO, Bob Smith, hired management consultants to examine the company's performance. The results were reported to senior managers, and some of their observations were originally published on the website Ars Technica. They had a huge impact. Some of the criticism focused on the two organizations' differing technical decisions, but the most significant cultural disparities were directly attributed to their executives. First and foremost, Musk is a tightwad, as we all know. SpaceX maintained a relentless focus on decreasing costs. Musk had personally approved all purchase orders worth more than $10,000. Blue Origin, on the other hand, was plagued by poor cost estimating. Furthermore, SpaceX was a non-stop 80-hour-a-week business, whereas Blue is kind of indolent, a ghost town on weekends. That doesn't mean SpaceX engineers whined about being forced to work in a sweatshop. They were highly motivated to achieve outcomes, and they had Silicon Valley-style incentives like stock options that reward top achievers despite being paid less than they would have been at Blue Origin. Musk weeded out the bottom 10% of performance every year to maintain high standards. Blue Origin engineers spent a lot of time analysing systems to see where they could go wrong. Musk, on the other hand, preferred to develop prototypes and put them to the test, learning in real time how to improve them, even reveling in spectacular explosions and posting videos on YouTube, such as how not to land an orbital rocket booster, which has been viewed 27 million times to date. Blue Origin's executives complained about a distant executive suite from the engineers and a tight hierarchy that made it impossible to get innovative ideas heard at the top. Whereas Musk likes to interact personally with his engineers and is receptive to unconventional ideas. In summary, Musk infected others with his work ethic and visionary passion, whereas Bezos remained a largely unengaged authority figure who had a vision but relied too heavily on others to make it a reality. So far, Musk's efforts is gathering such traction that it is tough to imagine Bezos ever catching up. At Boca Chica, Texas, a little over 2 miles north of the Mexican border, SpaceX is building its version of Cape Canaveral. Musk's grand aspiration to travel to the Moon and Mars were revealed in an environmental impact statement on the rocket base submitted to the FAA in May. Everything is centered on the super heavy new booster and the Starship, the spacecraft that sits atop it. Musk is changing the typical sequence of testing the booster before the spaceship in his frenzied rush to an assailable lead. The first thing to appear on the Boca Chica pad was a series of massive stainless steel garbage cans stacked on top of one another by crane. They were, in reality, Starship's fuel tanks. The last cone, which will house the crew, was then installed, and there it was, the entire setup ready to go. Once in space, Starship is meant to travel to the Moon and, in theory, Mars, using its powerful engines. However, Musk's strategy, as explained to the FAA, is to get there in a step-by-step process that allows for frequent failures and achievements. NASA has given Musk a $2.9 billion contract to accomplish Trump's mandate of a moon landing in 2024. Few believe he will make that deadline despite the frantic effort on the Starship program. Musk doesn't have to be concerned. He is far ahead of his rivals. However, if Bezos wins, it might be disastrous for America's commercial space economy, which is just getting off the ground. NASA has hired numerous companies to work on the same project separately in the past to stimulate competition and assure it has a backup plan. According to data published by the Washington Post, SpaceX's bid was the only one NASA could afford. NASA has placed its wager on Elon Musk's enterprise delivering the goods because they only have so much money to play with. Blue Origin isn't convinced by the explanation. The decision has prompted the corporation to file a 50-page protest with the Federal Government Accountability Office. According to the New York Times, the firm claims it was not given an opportunity to alter its application once the finance criteria changed. NASA, according to the protest, miscalculated portions of Blue Origin's ideas while downplaying the hazards in SpaceX's design. So what kind of implications does this have for Blue Origin? Bezos's Blue Moon lander, which was created expressly for the Artemis mission, is now in peril. This is not the case with Starship, which is SpaceX's project that would eventually transport humans to Mars, whether they are NASA astronauts or not. As Blue Origin continues to experience problems, SpaceX's future appears to be bright. It's the only commercial firm that's actually sent astronauts to the International Space Station, and if it keeps going in the right direction, it might even send us back to the moon. Big businesses with enormous funds would always choose to sue instead of competing. However, one of America's most successful entrepreneurs, Bezos, should recognize that trustworthy engineers and scientists, not litigators, are the finest advocates for humanity's journey into space. The next space competition has just barely begun. It would be a shame if it was chained to the launch pad by red tape. And that's all for today's video. Thanks for watching. Do you think Blue Origin has a chance to beat SpaceX on the race to the moon? And do you think that now, after being backed by NASA, SpaceX will beat the Trump deadline? Comment below. Let's engage. Also, if you are interested in more SpaceX videos, make sure you like this video, share and subscribe to our channel. Bye bye and see you in the next video.